Well, hello everybody and good morning. We are live and I'm pleased to be back this morning once again, but this time with Purple Elephant. Wonder if you could see why she has that name. And Deborah Hanvey, and she is fabulous. Oh, look at that. Did you get it at an, what is it? There's an elephant table that they have sometimes in New England when I was growing up, a white elephant table, but yours is purple.
I found that one at a thrift store.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm always looking. I've found them everywhere. From antiques to thrift stores. So
and in purple.
Not always in purple.
Always. Okay. Okay.
The elephants in general.
The elephants in general. That's Kim too. Kim Copeland loves elephants. So, well, I am so pleased to have you here today. And we have yet another introvert who has come out to talk. And I am so pleased. I think a lot of people are feeling more courageous after they see other people doing it. And they're fascinated by it. So I am so happy that you decided to come because your voice is important.
I appreciate it. I think it's important to document because I'm all about researching. Yep. So I'm really happy that you agreed to do this series.
Yeah, I am too. And once again, I got to harken back to Cat Mama Kaya Noel, who really is the one that came up with this project. And so I think it would be
a brilliant idea.
Yep. All right. Hello, Libra lady, Melinda. Chills, we're not answering any questions. Today, we're doing a series called Resilience in a Time of Fascism and COVID or Plague. And so, just wanted you to know, I'm not ignoring you, but welcome. Sharon Sipe and Pure Visionary. And of course, welcome to Deborah. So, let's start talking. I am going to say, I'm not going to say where, but Deborah is lives in Texas. And we were just talking about her state as far as, so she not only has the federal stuff with the 45 during COVID, but she also had the state that was instituting lots of things that not necessarily good for anybody. And as we know as well that, recently instituting the abortion, the abortion stay. You can't go over 6 weeks. And then it went off for a while. Now it's back on again. So anyway, Yes, and Libra lady says she loves your hair color. Look at that. That's awesome. Deborah said that it's usually darker, more like Nancy Jean's, but I love it the way it is. It looks beautiful. So
thank you.
So how long have you been on YouTube lurking or looking at sites or being part of the community?
I think that I first reached out to look for something, for some continuity, some kindred spirits when during 45's tenure. I was so taken appalled almost of what was going on. And the people in my family and people who had been friends love him, still love him. And at one point, I even severed ties with pretty much everyone in my family. We still talk a bit, but there are one or two subjects that are safe. Everything else is off limits.
So, I don't think you're alone.
So I believe it was before COVID started that I started to look. And the first person I found was Joyce All-Knowing Tarot.
Okay.
And she, I just kind of clicked with how she did readings and that she was also doing entertainment kind of things. She has a series of entertainment sort of readings and not just, and now she's gone away from politics because the vibrations are so low there.
They are low. Yes,
And
they are.
so,
Yeah.
so she was the first. And then, so I found through her, I found Linda G. I found uh, Johnny over at, uh,
A Tarot's Apprentice.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and Andrea at Lilac Lantern, and
Uh,
it just went on from there. From there, it blossomed, and I found lots of readers, and I found that many of them were very positive and saying things like, this will pass. It's terrible right now, but it will pass. And they were so right. It did finally pass.
It finally did. Took a long time, but it did. Yeah.
And there's still work to do. There's still a lot of work to do. But I just felt kind of a kinship with different
Sure.
ones. And my style sort of clicked with certain people. And
Yeah.
I had, years ago, I had read tarot cards myself. And there came a time when I kept getting messages about my mother, and I didn't want to believe it. And so when she passed, I put him down.
I understand. I understand the reason. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I started to think a few months ago, maybe it's not good to be afraid. Maybe
Right.
it's if I can know something about myself and relearn what I knew before, then that's okay. So I picked up a deck and started reading in my own time for myself. And
Good.
I still don't remember everything, but I'm working on it.
It takes a while. Tarot it's complicated.
It does. It is.
Good.
And I have come to a place where I'm starting to remember things that were unique to me about the card, and messages that I would receive that were messages that I read and that anyone else wouldn't pick up on.
Correct.
So that's starting to come back. And I'm trying to reconnect with my guides. And
good.
The main thing is not to be afraid.
I agree with you so much. And I don't usually read my own cards. I'll pull the oracles, and even them sometimes they're not telling me what I really want to know, because it's, I don't want to, like the Kippers, they're really direct. But I also understand that it could be a good way of learning how to integrate them and so on. But I can understand if you were getting messages about your mom, yeah, we don't want to know somebody's going to be gone.
No, we don't. We don't.
Yeah.
But also, you have to ask the right question. If you don't ask the right question, you will not get an answer you understand. So.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So it really is. But I think it's about confidence. I think it's about courage. And wow, what a great metamorphosis. Melinda wonders if she can see your tattoo. Okay.
Can you see it? Let me see if I can.
Right there.
Is it a bird? I was married for a long time to an abusive man. Okay. And when I got divorced, I got myself this tattoo. It's a chrome rose with a skull in the center. And it represents the death of that part of my life. That's
awesome.
Is gone. And in fact, my ex-husband passed about 10 years ago, I think. And we have a son. He's 30 years old. He's disabled. I was run over by a car when I was 5 months pregnant. And
oh my God.
He was born 2 months later. He has severe form of cerebral palsy. And he's quadriplegic. He lives in a group home, and he loves it there. His mind is sharp as a tack, but his body doesn't work. So he's one of these kids.
Was that from the birth? I mean, he was damaged during the birth. Okay. That is just horrible. I can't imagine, but it's so wonderful to know that he rose above it himself and has this, yeah.
He's happy. He has, he's as independent as he can be. He requires 24-hour hands-on
Sure.
But he
Yeah.
is he uses a power wheelchair, and he will talk to you about everything, especially horses. He loves horses.
Oh.
And when you were talking about horses the other day, he was for years rode horses for therapy, and so he loves horses.
Oh, wow. That's so wonderful. So they were able to get him up on the horses,
Um,
and
at,
he would.
at
Okay.
first, he rode with a what they call a back rider, who is somebody
Okay. Yes, I know what that is. Yep.
behind him,
Mhm.
when he was tiny. But as he got older, that was not possible. So
Right.
he, through the riding, developed enough strength in his back and legs to be able to sit on the horse and with two sidewalkers. So
Okay.
someone
Yep.
on each
Yep.
side would hold him up, physically hold him
Sure.
up, because he has no balance and he can't sit
Right.
up.
I would say that. And he
So
can't use his arms, you're saying, too.
his arms are like this.
Okay.
So he doesn't have a lot of control. If he
Right.
concentrates, he can control his
He can
arm,
control.
he's left-handed, enough to drive his wheelchair. But so
Oh,
that
I'm
was
so sorry that happened. And
you-
were you injured badly in this? I
I
imagine you were.
I was injured, but they couldn't do anything because I was pregnant. So
Right. Right.
and so all of my injuries ended up being soft tissue damage. So I still deal with that.
Soft tissue issues. Yeah, I understand. A lot of
um,
trauma to those tissue
It
areas.
is like the hair on that side of my body. I was hit on the left side.
Uh-huh.
That hair, that's why I part my hair this way, because from the middle back, it's kind of dead. It's
Yes.
dead.
Yeah. I
So
get
all
you.
the nerves on the left side of my body are not right.
So you're still dealing with this 30
I
something years
am,
later.
I am, but it is what it is. So
I understand.
I don't think about it. I just don't think
Well,
about
you know what? I was just talking with Valerie, and she was saying, if you caught, like, I've had fibromyalgia
Mhm.
for a long, long time, but I don't want to think about it because it limits me. It limits
does.
me, and so yeah, you want to think positively. You do what you can, you know. And wow, well, I honor you, Deborah,
Well, thank you.
for sharing that with us.
I don't share that information a lot because
Uh-huh.
people,
I know it's painful.
yes, well, it's painful, but people look at you different.
Well, I ain't gonna look at you any different.
The pity starts to come out.
I know. I get it. I get it.
I
But
know.
if somebody said, "Oh well, you got hit by a car," so what? That would hurt more. So it's
You know
not
what?
really.
Now it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Come to
Okay.
a place, because it was 30 years ago. So
Well,
I've come to a place where someone else's opinion of me is not my business.
well, that's it, girl. Absolutely. I mean, it took me a long time. I had to get in my 60s to say "F it," and yeah, it's absolutely important to love thyself very much and not really listen to what other people think. That's their opinion.
That is so true.
And we don't need it. We didn't ask for it. Awesome. So you told me where you started. You told me how long you've sort of been doing this during 45 regime. And of course, COVID kept you at home, I'm guessing.
It did. Well, I was already kind of at home. I had
Okay.
a number of years ago. I developed a condition where I didn't feel well all the time, and so I took some time off work. And when I went back to work, I just never, by then people were starting to age discriminate against me, and because my hair is not purple. You might.
Right, I know.
You might not realize that.
And mine doesn't have blonde in it.
It's gray, and
Yeah.
it's been gray since I was young, because I had,
Oh,
even before my son was born, I had.
did you? My mother did too. My mother was 22
Mhm.
when she got gray hair. Yeah. The only person I've really seen, but we don't see very many people, is Anderson Cooper. Remember, he started really, really young.
Very young, very young.
Yeah.
So most people cover it up, and I didn't for a long time. I did when I was married. My husband didn't. He made me keep it dyed.
He was the boss. Yeah.
So when we split up, the first thing I did was let my hair go gray, and I wore it very long, and it was very gray. So,
Good for you. Yeah.
so I started my rebellion when I was almost 40. So.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, you needed to. It sounds like you just picked yourself up by the bootstraps and went forward. A lot of people can't do that. They hang. They have a hard time moving forward, and clearly you have the moxie to do it. So
So
I love it.
I was already kind of at home, but not isolated.
Right. Okay.
And so COVID brought the isolation. And I'm, like I said, I just only recently made my, where I could comment on chats and things. So I'm behind on doing that.
You're a work in progress.
Yeah. I am a work in progress.
I always am too, so I understand. I like seeing people writing in the chats and welcoming each other. It's so beautiful to see that. It's like, oh, good. Here's my friend Ron. Here's my friend Libra Lady or whoever. Yeah. I know.
The first person that I actually, the first person who I was able to comment on was Sterling. I commented on one of his, and then I saw Jay at her 123, and he has a small enough group. I felt comfortable.
Good.
To go in and start commenting over there. So
he's wonderful. I love it.
He is adorable. So that's how I began actually trying to get my feet wet in the community. But I've been watching the community
for a long
time, a while, for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, just the fact, I know there are more people that are lurkers. As a matter of fact, one of them is my best friend. She doesn't always show her face or write anything on the wall, but she watches a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And then to come on here and present yourself to people, not just stay in the chat. That's another whole level of courage, I think, or immersion into the community. And I really respect you for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I ask, what kind of sustenance did you find in the community? What is it that people gave you that made you feel like you wanted to, go in, and even if you were a lurker?
I didn't feel alone. I felt like there were other people who were like-minded, who didn't appreciate what's going on in the world, or who were getting the same kind of negative feedback from real people, from people in the world.
And relatives.
Yeah. And I just was happy to find a community where you could go, and even if you were like me and you weren't participating in the chats or being able to comment, that you would be able to find someone who understood the way you feel.
Right.
And that's the main thing that I got, was being able to find people and not feel like I was alone.
Absolutely. Because I think, we not only are we alone if we stay home, but like you said, you couldn't go out. It just totally changed, everything. And I just noticed so many wonderful people, and I see them I see a lot of people in, lots and lots of different places, there they are again. There they are, like Ron. I mean, he's a moderator extraordinaire. He's very busy.
He's everywhere.
He is. And I feel comfortable with that. It's like he's my brother, he's a great guy. Yeah. That's awesome. And I think you joined the Tarot Love community, didn't you?
I just joined it. I have been watching it for a while, and I didn't realize that there was, until you were talking to Valerie this morning, that there was a way to connect in a more a deeper way. So I just joined it this morning.
Good. I'm glad you did. The the fact that Renee built that, and she started as much as she could with the readers to
Yeah.
get them to join. And she had a lot of pushback on it in the beginning, but wow, every time I go there, there's like 30, 40 more people that are there. And it just is really, I think it's going to grow from there. I really do. And it does allow you to ask questions, or another place to go for the
Yes.
community.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Ron, you and Jay will be on Miss Clairvoyance tonight. All right. Thank you. I'll stop by and see what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Do it.
So would you mentioned who you saw first. And is there anybody else you recommend to people that would be great for them to watch or see on YouTube?
There are so many good readers and so many kind hearts. I would be afraid of leaving someone out if
I understand. I understand.
names. But the whole community is just, now I know that there are ones out there who are not necessarily doing the right thing, but it's if you
Very little.
you find someone that you really click with, their personality or their style of reading, then you will get recommendations that will pop up on your YouTube if that's how you're watching. They will, and so just don't be afraid to go over and look at everyone and see how they are and how their readings are, and whether or not you feel a kinship with them.
Right. Absolutely. Great advice. I know that a lot of them work together, and you may know 3 out of 4, but you don't know the 4. And then you get to know the 4, or there's an interview that somebody does. And it's just really nice to get to know some of their personal ideas or how they began. And so that's wonderful.
It is. I love origin stories. So I try to listen to as many how people began.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. Yep. So do you have any aspirations for once you feel more comfortable with reading to have a channel?
A friend who has been prodding me to do that. And so I'm not comfortable yet trying to give information to people.
No, I know. Because you want to beef up your skills.
I do. And so, but I do believe at some point I will be doing that. Because I feel a strong pull to do that. So,
wow. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. Everybody's finding their voice. Everybody's finding their way of helping during a time of ascension. And and
reconnecting with my abilities, because there were so many years where I was in denial about abilities that I have and suppressed them to the point where it's an effort to get back. And and so I'm working toward that.
Good for you. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I think a lot of people, I mean, my past was one of learning, but not doing anything about the learning, let's say. You know, I'd learned something really cool, but didn't share it with anybody really. Or I had to share it in a way that was a bit sneaky, I guess. I don't know, because a lot of people.
Yes, because I come from a really religious place. And so it either wasn't real or it was from the devil, or, you know, so there was a lot of suppression going on because I have a family that is gifted. And so they still pretend
they won't use their gifts. Wow.
Even though they know that they have it.
They have the gift, but won't use it. Yeah. There's so much fear around it that, like you said earlier, it's just, and depending, I had a situation, it was very interesting that I was at a meeting of people back in the 90s. And I really trusted the woman who was a shaman, and she was great. And she decided she was going to do some, what they call table tipping, where you sit around and you sort of call on spirit and it picks up the table and, you know. And so the table did come up off the floor, not very far. I don't even know how that, you know, we all were meditating on it, but there were two women that were right there. And they were so scared. They were scared they went home and they got their Bibles out and they were, oh, you know, and they're reading their Bibles and they're thinking, oh my God, I've done something against, you know, the Lord or whatever. And I didn't feel that way at all. It just wasn't my thing to want to go back and do it. But it was like, I don't see that as being a bad, you know, but those
it's
poor
not
gals.
anything to be afraid of. And the more I learn, the more I know that fear is what they use to control us.
Absolutely.
And I am not going to be afraid anymore of anything.
Good for you. Good for you. It's not worth it to live a life of fear.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
And it interferes with what you need to learn.
Ron says, when you feel ready, you can come on with me on my Purple Channel Elephant. On my channel, Purple Elephant. Sorry.
Ron, that is,
Ron's a wonderful networker.
I would be honored to do that. Thank you.
That's great. Yes. And he does. He has some of the great guests with him, and they have a lot of fun on a Saturday night. So, yep. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for offering that. Yes. And here we have Sandra Wells. She loves your hair. Everybody makes me feel welcome. Oh, yes. Thank you. I agree with you, keep saying Sharon. Sandra. I do believe there are wonderful people in the chats, and they're very supportive of each other, and we just love you. So
they
my
are
apologies for tripping over my tongue here. Yeah. So you have to know what happened between the last show and this one. I had my puppy dog in the crate because she barks a lot. Yes. And I didn't want to do the show with her barking. So I took her out and she had pooped and it got into everything. It was all over the walls. It was all over. And I had to bathe her and clean out that between that show and this show.
So you've been busy. The things we do for our pet babies.
I know it. I absolutely know it. I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's like having a toddler that, you know, poops his pants and sits on it or something. Yeah.
We have this senior dog, a Chinese crested, and he has a heart problem. And so recently he loves cats. So I found a cat that I could bring home. And this cat is so much work. But he's a joy. He was hand raised by a really good foster. He was found when he was 2 weeks old, and he had lost. He had an eye infection, so he lost an eye, and the other one's damaged. So he is a special needs kitty, and I tend to do special needs babies. So so they love each other, but they are some little children. They get into some things.
Get into some mischief.
The cat instigates and the dog follows right along.
I think it's wonderful to see a dog and a cat that love each other like that, though. They it's like the cat knows he's older and has issues, the dog knows this one here is damaged as well. And wow,
they are so smart. And they are like a big brother and a little brother. They are into everything.
Wonderful. You know, I wanted to say that last night, I think Susan Lynn said she's having some animal psychics come on her show at like, I don't know, maybe 3:00 Sunday or something like that.
So cool.
If you're interested. Yeah. I know there's a lot of there's a lot of animal babies that we want to know what they're thinking. That's great. What are you in need of? Are you in need of anything? Is there anything we can do for you as a community?
That's a really good question. The thing right now, I think we're coming out of all of this horrible stuff that we have all been through collectively. So I think that the more positive, the more healing, the more uplifting things we can do and have and do that as a community, that is what I need. And I think that's what a lot of people need, because we have been coming out of a dark time.
We have.
and
Yeah.
it's a collective dark time. So
It is.
we, I think that is the most important thing we can be doing as a community right now, is uplifting each other and
Correct.
having each other's back and just being here to support one another.
Yeah, I agree. I've had people write in the chat, my uncle's sick, or my
Mhm.
dog is whatever, or I'm having a bad day. And I've seen the response in the chat to it so beautifully,
Mhm.
done. And, I take the time, if anybody has a need, to, send love and
Yeah.
healing or prayer. And I love that. And Linda G does that every
Love
Tuesday.
it. She does.
Yeah.
Love and kindness don't cost a thing.
They don't. Yep.
All it
You're
is, and so little effort.
Yep. Absolutely. Wow. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
I can't really think of anything. I just I appreciate you, Allie, for
Oh, thank
putting
you.
this together, for taking Cat Mama's idea and using it for a springboard and making a documentation of this, because I think that at some point in the future, people will look back to our efforts here,
Yeah.
and it will be an important step toward the good things that are coming.
Right. The good things that are here, if we look for them, if we look at it, how people can come together from all walks of life and all areas of the planet, really, and can just join in their um, search or their uh, meaning for their
It is.
lives, and
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 it's
so on.
important to remember that there are more of us than there are of them. So they may
Thank
be
you.
loud and
Because
they
we will
carry
have some
on.
trying times.
They
Yeah,
may even be violent, but there are more of us than there are of them. And
that's true.
if we let our light shine, then
We'll blind
we
them.
we will. And I told that to a friend the other day. If you're going to have to be around low vibration people, then you need to just let your light shine until it hurts their eyes.
I love it. That's absolutely true. And it doesn't matter where you live,
It doesn't.
because there are people here, at least.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know there are probably people where everybody lives. There's a small contingent of them. It's hard to find them sometimes. You have to go to like a metaphysical store or something, but there are people, and people that can surprise us too.
Yes.
That we,
Yes,
that we wouldn't
absolutely.
think of. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have talked with Deb today, and be looking for, eventually, no rush, her own channel. And when she does, we'll announce it definitely, and we'll talk to her again. And she knows she has Ron as an ally here. So
Yes.
thank you so much. All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.